Okie dokie then. So I figure we're at this location, at this nice lake in the background. Why not use it? And yet, uploading a video using the hotel's Wi-Fi takes a long time, so this won't be getting posted till tonight when we get home. The whole Tavares thing is still swirling, so I want to talk a little bit about this. So this year I guess, at the trade deadline, the Islanders might have been willing to move him. Tavares I want to stay. That was his right. It was. As was his right to change his mind about staying in New York at last minute. Now, when I've stated that it would have been nice for him to give notice earlier, it would have been. But make no mistake about it, people who are demonizing John Tavares and making it sound like he's this giant loser, well, he's 27. And I'm pretty sure that Steve Yzerman's first cup came after he was 27. And not only that, but when I make the statement that the Leafs at some point in time they could end up in cap trouble and they may have to move out of forward, it's a matter of when you've got that many high quality forwards that are going to demand that much money, it's tough to get the depth behind it. You look at what the Caps did this year, you look at what the Penguins did the 2 years previous, it's depth that kills. You have those superstars at the top and then you get that depth below it. And keeping all of that together is darn near impossible. Chicago had trouble doing it, and that's why dynasties aren't a thing anymore. Do I think the Leafs are going to win a cup with Tavares? I think they have a heck of a lot better shot with Tavares than they had just with Matthews in the lineup. Do I think Matthews stays long term? I don't know. I don't know Austin Matthews. But I have to speculate about things because, if Austin Matthews is looking now at his time with Toronto and saying, so I'm not going to be the number one guy, I kind of want to be the number one guy. It's not a matter of being egotistical. It's a matter of looking in the mirror and saying, I can be the guy that can carry a franchise. Now, whether he can or he can't isn't the point. And, if he demands a contract that's similar to Tavares, then you've got two forwards signed for roughly the same amount of money as Chicago's been paying for Taves and Kane, and Chicago has had a hard time rounding out that roster and being able to compete late into the postseason. And in this season's case, they couldn't get to the postseason. It's hard for me because I state an opinion and then it'll sometimes come across as if I'm brushing something off, or that's just pure hate, and it's not intended at all. And I don't have any hate towards Tavares because going back to what he did, I kind of feel for the guy. You've got 6 teams that are like, all right, we're in, and we're going to kind of suspend things waiting for you. And I'm not sure what Boston would have done. Like, if he'd picked Boston, I really don't know what they would have done to make room to get him on the roster, just from a cap space perspective. So I wasn't surprised he didn't pick Boston or Tampa for kind of the same reason. He's going to his the team he grew up idolizing, and I can't imagine how cool that has to feel. I know that this is part of the reason why when the Canucks are drafting, if there's a Western Canadian, a BC kid that's a highly thought of prospect and Vancouver passes on him, I don't understand it, because of the fact that this is a kid who grew up idolizing the Canucks. Not always, not all BC kids do, but a lot of them do. And you have a natural affinity for your team. I expect Tavares to score at least as many points as he did with the Islanders. I've seen a couple comments where he'll score at least 100 points in Toronto. He's not really that kind of player. His point totals may get into the 90 range. I'd be very surprised if he scored 100. I'm not saying he won't. See, now I start hedging. Start thinking, oh, wait, Shannon, you can't say that. You got to watch it. But, Tavares made a difficult decision. I'm sure it was not easy for him. He clearly had intended to stay with the New York Islanders. He had started a job there, and I think part of him wanted to finish it. But what they were offering him, while they had a brand new coach and a brand new GM, clearly he didn't think that it was the kind of situation he wanted to be in for the rest of his prime. It is the biggest free agent signing that I think there's ever been, like unrestricted free agent. And now what I'm watching is the restricted free agents. I really think an offer sheet has to be done. There are teams that have massive holes in their lineup, and there are guys who have restricted free agent status that a team could absolutely make an offer that the team that owns the rights to that restricted free agent will have a very hard time meeting. You can do one of two things. Let's just Connor Hellebuck. I'm going to throw out a massive number. Carolina, goaltending is meh. So Tom Dundon goes, all right, we're going to do this. Throws a 4-year, $10 million a year offer to Connor Hellebuck from Winnipeg. Kevin Cheveldayoff, after seeing that offer sheet, and when he gets done cursing and swearing about it, has two choices. Match the offer, and then have to trade other players off of his roster so that he can keep everything under the cap. Or let him go and take back the draft picks that are the compensation. And then Carolina's picked up a Vezina-level goaltender for just an offer sheet. I'm really surprised that hasn't happened yet. And I really think this could be the summer that it happens. Yes, that means Winnipeg could turn around and offer sheet somebody from Carolina. There aren't any right now. Not big star names for Carolina. And not only that, but Winnipeg I don't think would be likely to just offer sheet a forward out of Carolina, since if they got him, they'd have to move somebody else out. The Tavares deal shows that we can actually see a big name move. And it may be the only big name that moves this year. And I'm not saying that to diss Stastny or any of the other free agents from this summer, but Tavares is clearly ahead of all those guys. It's not LeBron, but he's pretty damn big in terms of stardom. And we'll see where things take him from here. But, seeing people burning Tavares jerseys, I don't know what more people expected of him. He was there for almost a decade. He gave the team everything he had. He usually scored a point a game. Did he pout at times? Yep, everybody does. They all do. Sports athletes do that. Did he go through rough patches? Yeah. Did the team support him? Yeah. Because if you don't, they walk anyways. I don't think Lou's going to have any really hard feelings over this. I'd be surprised if he did. I think he probably made his best attempt to keep him, and I think Tavares negotiated with everybody in as honest a manner as he could. I don't see anything in this process that makes me think that John Tavares did anything untoward or unseemly. He made a decision that was best for him and for his family, and I honestly have no problem with it. So, do I think Toronto wins a cup with Tavares? I think they are now one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the league to win a Stanley Cup. Do I think they have other areas they need to improve? Yes. Do I think they would be wise to pick up a top 4 defenseman? Absolutely. Do I think that they could, now that they've added Tavares for nothing, could they trade out a forward and pick up a top 4 defenseman and get even better? Absolutely. And I think Kyle Dubas is going to make it happen. And it kind of goes back to people being very, very attached to players on their teams that were very, very attached. Like, oh, you can't lose this guy. This guy's my favorite. You can't lose him. Teams that win Stanley Cups have to make those hard decisions. You look at Chicago, you look at Pittsburgh, they've made hard decisions along the way where they'll keep one player over another, and it at the time it's like, oh man, that's so rough. But then they win Stanley Cups, and it's all okay. So there you go. Just my 2 cents on the whole thing. From the wonderful lake that has a sign that says no swimming. Well, no kidding. Who's going to swim in a silly sign to have up. Do people really try? You don't swim in tiny little. Don't. Yeah, come on, kids. You don't do that, do you? All right. Anyways, we got a full day ahead, so I'm going to cut this off here. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I understand there's a lot of people who hate Tavares, and I understand there are a lot of very excited Leafs fans right now. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I just wanted to just throw my opinion out on this, and I'll upload this when we get home today. So from Centralia, Washington, this has been the Hockey Guy.